All right. So good morning. My name is Gwen Wright, otherwise known as Gwen Wright. And I want to welcome you. It's usually Tax Talk with Gwen, but since we're fading out of tax season, even though it don't end to the end of July 15th, I'm going to call it Tax and Business Talk with Gwen because I decided that with so much going on out here in the world, we have so many small business owners that I will start going live probably all year and doing different topics in reference to taxes and business and different things that I think that people can be educated on to help them live a prosperous and wealthy life. So let me get started. Um, Today's topic is about the PPP loan. And the PPP loan is one of the loans that the government is actually offering to small business owners. They've been doing it since the beginning of April, I think. And usually I talk about certain things that's going on in the government or certain things that's going on, period. But what I decided to do was wait to talk about it. One, because they keep changing the regulations for one. And then two, I wanted to go through the process and actually be able to talk about it instead of just going by what the verbiage says or assuming this is how it works. So everything that I say is coming from my experience. It's coming from my experience, and then some information, of course, that I was able to see as I went through the process. Okay. So on last Friday, I was actually approved for the PPP loan. And I actually got my funding on Wednesday. So I was excited that I did actually get approved. It was kind of like a long process, but not really. And I'll get to that in a minute. But the purpose of this actual video is to give you information, like if you want to apply or if you already applied, like what to expect for the process. And then also, once you get the money, like what's next? I don't know who's calling me. So what's next, right? So I'll top it off by talking about it's two different programs out there. It might be more programs out there, but it's two I know for sure. So it's the PPP loan, and the PP stand for payroll, um, no, paycheck payroll program, I think. I might have it backwards, right? And then it's one that's called the EIDL. And I think people are getting it mixed up as far as what they actually applied for. And then some people have applied for both. So the EIDL was initially a grant, like you can possibly get a grant up to $10,000, and then possibly a loan as well. And it was a streamlined application, pretty simple. I think a lot of people jumped on it. Small business owners, independent contractors jumped on it as soon as it was available, and everybody was assuming that they possibly can get a $10,000 grant. So that's what the EIDL is. I have not got my money from that one. I haven't got any type of approval. The only thing that I have received or in my process about it is my credit's moving forward. Okay, I haven't received any funding, anything. Still waiting to see if I'm gonna get anything. But I know that they have changed it to where they're not possibly giving out 10K, that they're giving $1,000 for per employee. But you still can get a loan with it. I think everybody thinks that you can just that you're just gonna get a 10K advance or you'll just get $1,000. They are still actually issuing loans that's more than $10,000 under that particular program as well. What the criteria is, I don't know because I have not received anything. I have got an update on it as far as where I'm at, but they just say I'm good. They don't see any red flags, and that I should wait for an email quarter or something like that. So that's the only thing that I really truly know about that, because I'm in different groups that talks about the CARE Act and the PPP and the EIDL. I have seen people to post that they might have received $1,000 in their account, $2,000 or $3,000 in their account. Some people have actually got the loan ranging from 150,000, just different things. But again, I think a lot of people apply for the EIDL, and a lot of people are waiting for the EIDL, and you might not possibly apply for the PPP. Some people did apply for both, but I think a lot of y'all didn't really even apply for the PPP. One, because it talks about payroll, and you automatically think that you don't qualify for it. And then two, it's so confusing, so much information out here that a lot of times we don't even know what we've applied for. Okay, so that's one of them. And then the PPP is a payroll paycheck program. Got that right. Payroll paycheck program. And the way that they put it out there was, it looks like that it was just for people who had employees, right? And the purpose of it was for people to get loans so that they can put their employees back to work, and so that the employees don't necessarily have to drop unemployment. That's kind of how I looked at it. And then it'll give you assistance in reference to you being able to pay, your overhead. And so that's kind of what the PPP was for. But everybody don't have employees. Honestly, you have a lot of big business, like we're mad at these different corporations or these public traded companies because they apply for these particular loans. But it's like, you have to understand what a small business is. A small business is considered someone who have under 500 employees. And when it comes to like SBA and different banks and different things, they look at small businesses as somebody who gross $1 million. A lot of times people who do not have employees, we are considered practitioners. We're considered sole proprietors, even though you might have an LLC. We are considered a single entity because we don't have employees. And so I think that's where the confusion came in at. And then for this particular loan, it was a step-in process on how you apply. So people who had employees, they was able to start applying on April 3rd. And then the people who are considered like myself, that are sole proprietors, which I'm really a single member LLC, but in their eyes, I'm considered a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor and independent contractors, which are people who are issued 1099s, then we wasn't able to apply to August the 10th. So it was a process and a stepping stone on actually when you could actually apply. So let's talk about my actual experience. So when this program initially came out, it was said that you could only apply for this particular loan with financial institutes that you had a relationship with. And that means you had to have an account with them, you had to have a loan with them already, or you have to have a credit card account or something with them. And that's the people that they were accepting applications from. That had some small entity, financial institutes that would accept people who did not have relationships with them, but that's kind of how they was rolling it out. That became an issue, and so different people started accepting other people outside of that, and the criteria, the regulations just continued to change. And then your particular financial institute, they was initially saying that you can go into the banks, but how you going into the bank when we're social distancing? How can you go into the banks when they don't want anybody in there? They got regulations there. Their libraries are closed, but you can make an appointment. But you got all these people in the world and they want you to go in the bank. But most banks and financial institutes were taking their applications actually online. You apply with them as far as saying that you're interested in it, and then most of those financial institutes were sending you a link to apply for the physical loan. So with me, I bank with SunTrust, which I think they're changing their name to Trusted or something like that because they combine with BB and T. And so that's my bank. So I decided to apply with my bank. One, because I thought it was easier because they got all my bank records. I shouldn't have to send any bank documents in. They know what I make. My money going to my account, and that's who I bank with. And so I initially applied with them, but they are of course considered a big bank. And as you can see in the news, a lot of these big banks are in trouble because they was not trying to give you no money. And from my experience, believe me, they was not trying to give you no money. Okay, so I call myself a legitimate business, and why I call myself a legitimate business is because I operate as a business. I have my LLC, I have my business license, I have a storefront, I have business bank accounts, I keep my own books. I have independent contractors that I issue 1099s out to at the beginning of the year. I have reports on all my income that's coming in. And so I pretty much had everything that they was asking for in reference to being able to apply for this loan. And so because there was not like really guidelines on exactly what they wanted from you, I got everything, right? So I didn't know if they wanted to see my bills as far as me paying my office rents. I have 2 offices, so I pull all my office, my records from paying my rent all of 2019. I pull my Georgia Power bill to show me paying my Georgia Power bill 12 months. I pulled my Comcast and my WOW bill to show that. I got the report for my 1099 that I submitted to the IRS. I did a profit and loss sheet on my business because I hadn't filed my taxes yet. So I did a profit and loss sheet because they said if you didn't file your taxes, you could submit a profit and loss sheet. So I did a profit and loss sheet for my business. I printed out my no, I didn't print out my article and my business license hack just yet. But I submitted all of this to them as soon as I filled my application out, right? And I was like, okay, the next day I got a response from them. And when I got the response from them, they was asking me for additional documentation. They had a worksheet that you had to turn in, and evidently I didn't fill it out correctly. So I refilled the worksheet out, sent it back to them. But this is the kicker, and why I said that I feel like they was kind of discriminating against self-employed people, sole proprietors, or I feel like they wasn't trying to give you the money. It's because then they came back and they sent me something to say, well, we can't pull your information on Secretary of State website, send that information in. That was a red flag to me. One, because all you have to do is go to Secretary of State website, put in a business name. If that business is registered with the Secretary of State, you automatically can verify that, period. Right? Not only that, my thing was, why are they asking for that when I have a bank account with them? And I wouldn't have been able to get a bank account with you under my LLC if I did not have, I was not registered with the Secretary of State. So that was like, okay, let me go ahead and give it to them anyway. So I printed that out. And so because I didn't want them to come back and ask me for anything else, I printed that out. And then I got a copy of my business license 2019 because I hadn't renewed mine 2020 yet. And I submitted that to them. Then they came back with something else. Then they came back with something else. Then they came back with something else. And the crazy part was they communicated through email. You really can't talk to anybody. And then the stuff they're asking for, I'm sitting at my office all day. So it wasn't nothing for me to check my emails and then actually send the information into them instantly, right? And that's what I did. And they just kept going back and forth, and they came back with something that I had already submitted. So at that point, I wanted to talk to somebody. I wanted to see why do y'all keep asking me for all this bull, and what exactly do you need from me so that I can send it in to you. I sent the email to them, and I never got a response back to that particular email. So I left it alone. I was upset because I thought it was a bunch of bull, and I left it alone. And I decided I wasn't going to even continue to apply for it. I wasn't going to worry about it, and I was going to move on. I was going to put everything in God's hand and just be cool with not getting this particular loan. But I'm saying all this to say, there's a lot of you all who are applying with these big banking institutes, and you might be stuck in the process right now, or they keep asking you for information. And so as I go on, I'm going to get into talking about the different things that you should submit, and maybe something else that you should do if you want to go ahead and go through and try to get approved for the loan. But that was my dealings with the actual big bank. Okay. And so for a whole week or two, I did not do anything as far as the loan go. And I actually never went back to my dashboard. I never checked anything else. I was going to leave the actual loan alone. And then, honestly, I'm a spiritual person, to be honest with you. So something my spirit was like, go ahead and apply again. Because I'm in these different groups, and I see a lot of people applying for other institutes, and they're saying they're getting approved. So I'm thinking, okay, something's telling me to go ahead and apply again. And so I decide to apply again. But at the point that I decided to apply again, this was at the point they have supposedly ran out of money, and they supposed to be adding money to it. And that was like the end of last week. So Thursday night last week, before I went to bed, I decided to apply with PayPal. And PayPal, I didn't submit everything like I submitted with SunTrust. One, because in their process, they wasn't asking for a whole lot of stuff. They just wanted you to show what you earned, and based off what you're saying you earned, they wanted records of that. And I submitted that to them, and it was like at midnight. I swear it was like at midnight on Thursday night. When I woke up on Friday morning, I had loan documents to sign. Okay, literally, it was less than 12 hours. I'm not going to say 24 hours. It was less than 12 hours I was signing loan documents. And then I think the government signed off on adding more money to the small business loans. And then on Wednesday, in the middle of the day, I didn't even know you can get money in the middle of the day. In the middle of the day, I checked my account for something. I was looking for something in my account, and I had a deposit. So for people who have lost hope on trying to get money to stay in business or to help with your bills or whatever, don't give up, right? Because in that process, I think maybe that's a testimony. I was going to give up because I've been hit in my business because a lot of people still have not filed their taxes. I don't know if they're going to file, because a lot of times when they haven't filed, you know, the extension has happened, you know, they might say bumping it, and they might not even file this year. So I had a small hit, and I needed to still make sure I was secure with my finances. So that's what's the important part for me, being able to actually apply for the loan, right? So, but I almost gave up. So I went through this whole story before I get to the details of applying for the loan, because again, if you decide you want to give up, don't give up. Try one more time after you watch this video, and hopefully your particular situation will change. All right, so let me get into the stuff that I know y'all want to hear, and in reference to what it takes to actually apply for this particular loan. Okay, so we talked about the difference between the PPP and the EIDL, right? Now, what do they want from you when you are submitting for the actual loan? So one thing I think the people are getting confused with is, if they are in business for themselves and they have independent contractors versus a person who is in business and they have employees. Okay, so a person who's in business and have employees, they pay Social Security tax, Medicare tax, and I think workers' comp to the government all year. And they have to fill out a form, which I think is called a 941. If you're doing that for the people that work for you, then you have employees, okay? If you are not doing that, and you just paying someone just based off a check, just write a check to them, paying them through cash out, paying them through PayPal, paying them however you want to pay them, and you're not paying any money for them to the government, you have independent contractors. You do not have any employees, okay? And so that's very important for you to know the difference. Because when you're applying for your loan, you do not have employees if you issue 1099 miscellaneous to the people at the beginning of the year, or you just write a check, giving them cash, sending them a cash out, paying them PayPal. And you're not paying any money to the government on their behalf for Social Security, Medicare, and workers' comp during the year. Okay, that's very, very, very important for you to know before you fill out your application. All right. So when you have employees, then they're going to ask you to submit your 941. They're going to ask you to submit records of your payroll. That's the difference, right? But if you have independent contractors, and I think this is where the confusion is at, as far as people thinking they don't qualify for it, or that those people that work for them is employees, you're not going to be able to apply for the loan in reference to what you pay your 1099 contract. You're only going to be able to apply for the loan based on what you pay yourself, because they're giving you the loan based off what you pay yourself, not what you give out to your 1099 people. Why do I know this? Because if they was paying me based off what I paid my 1099 people, my loan would have been way bigger than what it was, right? But they only went by my net income from my tax return on my Schedule C. And I think that's line 31. That is the line that they are going by to qualify you for your loan amount. And those are for people who do not have employees. You have independent contractors. So each entity is submitting different information. And I think that's the biggest confusion. So if you are in business for yourself and you ask to show a profit at the beginning of the year when you file your taxes, then you're able to apply for the loan. Now, how much of the loan you're going to get going to be based off of what your actual net income is. But if you have a business loss, because I do taxes, and a lot of y'all want to have business losses, y'all want to write off anything and everything because you don't want to show any income, then you're not going to qualify for this particular loan, because that's the information they're going off of. Your net income from your Schedule C. For people who have employees, they're going off of your 941 and your payroll records. Okay, that's the difference. So I said I'll be transparent. I'm gonna use myself as an example. So my loan was for $17,782. How did they come up with that number? They came up with that number based on what I say I take home personally after all of my business expenses. And it's important for you to know that it's not what you gross, it's not what you bring in overall in your business, it's what you bring home after all your expenses are paid. And your expenses is, of course, like your rent, your utilities, your marketing, your insurance, your mileage, your cell phone bill, all those different things. It's that number that's after you deduct all of that is the number that they're going by. I think after all my business expenses, I say I make like, I don't know, 85,000, 80,000 or something like that. And how you come up with the number is you take that number from line 31 and you divide that by 12. And when you divide that by 12, that is the number that you pay yourself every month. And that is the number that you will put in when they ask you how much do you make monthly. Okay. And then how you can determine what your loan amount is going to be, it's because You're going to take that number, and they issue the loan based off 2.5 of that number. So I think mine like 7,000 or something. So they multiplied that by 2.5, and that's how they come up with the number 17,000. Now, if you have employees, it's totally different. It's going to be based off your total payroll. And then it's gonna, I think they do some calculations, and then again, you get 2.5% of that particular amount. So again, if you are sole proprietor like myself, if you got a single member LLC, you consider a sole proprietor. If you're an independent contractor, like for instance, my independent contractors, they wanted to apply for a loan, they can because they are independent contractors. I issue them 1099s. They have to file a Schedule C. So if they want to apply for it, they can apply for it. But ultimately, it's going to be what your net income is. And also, again, if you have employees, it's going to be what your payroll is. Now, how do the loan work? And this is very important that people know this, because a lot of people run to go get this loan, but you better be careful when you get it and understand what you're doing when you get it. Okay, so the PPP is a loan, right? And it is a 24-month loan. Okay, in 24 months, it has to be paid back. The first 6 months of the loan is deferred. So I don't have to make a payment, I think, until September, October. And then after the 8 weeks from Wednesday, from what I understand, if I could provide documents to them that I paid myself in payroll, or that I paid certain expenses, which I think they're very particular about that. Like if you have a mortgage on your building for your business, if you have rent for your business, some of your utilities, some health insurance contributions, and a couple of other things, then if I can provide documentation that 75% of this money went to me paying myself, and then 25% of this money went to paying my bills, then I can submit the information, and then the loan could possibly be forgiven. That means that it will become a grant, and I possibly might not have to pay it back, right? And then it's no guarantee that all of it will be forgiven. They might only let a portion of it be forgiven, and then whatever's left from them not forgiving that portion, and then I have to pay that back within 18 months. Well, 24 months, but really 18 months, because they defer 6 months payment. So I say this because you have to be very careful when you're applying for this loan, because you don't want to be stuck with the bill. I knew that if I got this particular loan, I can afford the monthly payment, right? So I wasn't necessarily worried if it becomes a loan, can I pay it back? I can. Ultimately, my goal is to get the whole thing forgiven, or the majority of it forgiven, so that I don't have to pay it back. But understand, if you don't keep good records when you're doing your business, you're probably not going to keep good records to be able to get the loan forgiven. So that's going to be a very important factor. Now, they haven't really gave out the guidelines on as far as, what records you're really supposed to keep for the loan to be forgiven, or what they will take. But I have my assumptions, and I'm going to tell you, if you did get one, what I'm going to do to keep record keeping of, to try to get mine forgiven. Now, a lot of people are applying for banks or whatever, like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase. Now, what I'm seeing in the last couple of days is a lot of people are starting to get approved for the loan, even with some of the big banks. I think they did freeze the big banks out one day this week, but a lot of people are starting to get approved even through the big banks. I don't think this loan had anything to do with your credit. They did not pull my credit at all for this particular loan. They did pull my credit for the EIDL, but they did not pull my credit for this particular loan. So So I hear some people saying they for their credit. I don't know if they're confused with the different loans that they have. I don't know, because I know that every financial institute is doing things different. Not all the same. Some financial institutes might ask for more things. And if you tuned in at the beginning of the video, you would have seen where I talked about how when I did SunTrust, how they was tripping, and how when I did PayPal, it went right through. And so that's just an indication of how they're actually doing this particular thing, like with different financial institutes are doing this thing a little different. So places that I've seen, like if you apply for the big bank, because if you apply for a loan, I think people don't think that you can apply for another one and that you just got to sit and wait for the first one that you applied for. Go apply for some more. What they're not going to do, because the financial institute has to submit their information to the SBA, and the SBA has to issue you a loan number. So the SBA is not going to issue you more than one loan number. Whoever gets to you first is who you need to go with. My numbers for SunTrust and my numbers for PayPal was the identical. So no matter who you go with, if they're going by your net income, and I'm talking specifically to people who are just, you don't have any employees, just because this is my experience. I can't really tell you about the people who have employees. There's a little easier for them because they got a 941, they're gonna go by that. But because you your own entity, it's just a little different for us. So apply for other people, right? This is again, they don't, from what I know, they don't supposed to pull your credit for this particular one. And so go with who give it to you first, okay? And you can try with these big banks, but from what I'm seeing and looking at these different groups and seeing that other people are getting approved, these are the places that they are streamlining them right through, and people are getting approved quickly. I can't say everybody is, because some people are not having the same experience, but it's gonna be on your look, right? So PayPal, Square, Cabbage, Lindo, Bluevine, and small community banks. Okay, those are the ones that I see that are streamlining people quickly through this process. People are getting approved within 24 hours, sign their bank docs, and they're just waiting for funding. Do not sit and wait to apply for somebody else. As of me getting on this live this morning, I didn't see nowhere where they have not, where they ran out of money yet. Y'all know they ran out of money at any time. So I haven't seen them where they have ran out of money just yet. Okay, so don't wait. Go apply for some of those particular people. I have heard really good things about PayPal, one, because I went through them. They took no time for me. I have heard really good things about Square, and I have heard really good things about Bluevine. Okay, those are the ones that I see a lot of people who was having problems before, they are getting approved through them. Now you still can go through your bank. You can still go through any institute on the SBA that are actually accepting these particular loans. But these are the ones that I've seen that a lot of people have had good records with. I want to make sure I went over everything with y'all's full of notes. Now, one thing you do need to know though, if you apply for the PPP, you cannot get unemployment. Okay, PPP is called Payroll Protection Program because the program was created so that people can take people off unemployment and so that you don't get on unemployment. So you cannot do unemployment and you cannot do in the PPP at the same time, right? But you can do the EIDL and unemployment, but you cannot do the PPP and unemployment. Let's talk about the forgiveness part, okay? So how it works is when they give you your money, when your money is deposited into your account, you have 8 weeks from that day. If you have employees, you have to put your employees back to work, or however many employees you put down as far as getting that loan, you need to make sure that you're paying that many people for forgiveness. And you have to be able to track that. If you are like me, I'm calling myself a sole proprietor. Never really have before, but I guess I really is out here. But for us, same thing. You have 8 weeks to really pay yourself. Now I come back later on because they changing stuff. They have really gave out really specific guidelines on this forgiveness, especially for us. This is what I'm taking from it. Okay, and this is how I'm going to keep my rest because they're not giving me the money. So, for instance, thank God they gave it to me last week too, because it's time to pay rent. Okay, so they didn't give it to me last, but they gave it to me this week. But I'm going to pay my rent. And when I pay my rent, when I pay online in my notes, I'm gonna put rent paid by PPP. Okay, I'm gonna print that out. And then the one that I pay by check, because they old fashioned and they still taking checks and they just want to do a direct transfer so you been able to pay online. The one that I pay by check, I'm going to put in my memo section, rent paid by PPP. And then when it goes through the process of in my bank account, I'm gonna print out that counter check that showed that it went through, right? And then I'm going to pay myself 8 weeks. And this is the part that gets tricky. Now for me, it don't really get tricky. I pay myself anyway. And then I do this anyway. But next week I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a live video and I'm gonna talk to y'all about how to get your financials in order. So like if this happen again, because right now we don't know what's gonna happen and when it's gonna happen. So if it happen again, how you as a small business owner, especially you one without any employees, how can you actually keep your books, right? And how can you keep your financials in order so that you're able to apply for funding, apply for loans, apply for business credit cards, go buy a house, how you can get those things and have your financials in order. Because what this situation have shown is that most of y'all out here acting like y'all run business, but you don't run business because you can't go prove it to these people for this money. So that's the live I'll do next week. But going back to how I'm gonna forgive myself and try to turn in this forgiveness for paying myself. So they got a calculation where you're supposed to do something by 8, divide by 8, and then divide by 52, the number, and then divide it by 8. I ain't doing it. Don't sound right to me, but it might be. I'm gonna take what I say I paid myself for the month plus the 0.5 that they said, and I'm gonna take a certain percentage and I'm gonna pay my bills, and then the other percent, whatever's left, I'm gonna divide that by 8. And then starting next Wednesday, I'm gonna cut myself a check from my business, even though I can sign it, I do it anyway. I'm gonna cut a check from my business, and in the memo section, I'm gonna put wages paid from PPP. And again, I'm gonna go in, get my council check, and I'm going to have all that scanned in. So when these 8 weeks are up, I can submit to them so I can get this money forgiven. On top of that, I'm gonna go an extra step. Why I'm gonna go an extra step and why I think I have a lot of success when it comes to getting things or whatever. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm like this perfect record keeper because I'm not. I know how to keep records, but I ain't gonna tell you I do it all the time. But I do it when I want something, right? Or I want to get something accomplished. So I also have created a spreadsheet for myself, and on that spreadsheet, I put the day my money was deposited, how much was deposited, what bank account it got deposited in, and I put the account number. Then I did me 3 columns, and the columns say dates, it say expense, and it says amount. So actually, probably when I get off this live, I'm getting ready to go pay my rent and my utilities for the month. And so I'm gonna put the things that I paid for those particular expenses on the timeline too. So when I submit my information to them for forgiveness, I'm gonna submit that spreadsheet that show a timeline of me paying my bills and how much. And then I'm gonna provide the evidence to back up that spreadsheet. Hopefully they'll forgive my loan. Okay. I think that's it, y'all. I think I have went pretty much over everything that I know of when it comes to this particular program. Again, if you applied and you're not having success with other people, go apply for somebody else. Don't be worrying about whether or not you bank with somebody. Go apply with somebody else, and hopefully you will have success with that. Lane says SunTrust been tripping. I don't know if I'm gonna move my money though, because I don't like changing stuff around. And all these banks be tripping for real. You know, they be tripping. I don't even like the bank for real. But I think I went over everything. Only other thing that I wanted to kind of tell y'all too, like about the EIDL, if you do get a loan from them, I really wish I would have got a loan from them versus this PPP. But it's okay, right? But with the EIDL, if you're able to get a loan from them, all of it might not be forgivable. But what I look at as an opportunity to be able to pay stuff off or be able to be able to have money long term and money put up, because the EID loan, not the grant or the money they're doing for 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever they're doing, depositing, that is a 30-year loan. Okay, now we want the loan 30 years for real, but that's a 30-year loan, so that gives you cash flow in your business for real. And it's gonna give you a low monthly payment because it's for 30 years. So a lot of people are like, I don't want no loans. And frown at people that going to get some money. Y'all crazy. The government don't just give out money and don't make money available to you. And so as a business owner, you have to think real smart and look at your situation. And like, if you just balling out, you making millions and this ain't affecting you, then this message ain't for you, because you good, right? But if you're like me, like I've been blessed that it didn't hit me like it hit other business owners, right? So I wasn't necessarily stressed about getting the loan, but I thought about long term. I thought about the rest of the year. How could it have benefited me for the rest of the year? So instead of me using the money that I have put up to pay my bills, I was able to get this money because I don't know what I'm gonna make between May the 1st and July 15th. And so I can't see my hit just yet. So because I don't know what my hit is, I thought ahead and I made sure that if I can get covered, that I get covered. And that's the mindset that you have to have, honestly, to be successful in business. So I hope that this is a pretty long video, but I hope that I was able to help some of you all. And I hope that if you need this money, because I know a lot of y'all need this money, man. If you need this money, I hope, y'all still ain't got my nails done, right? I hope that you get it, right? And just remember that if you got your documents in order, you might be successful in getting it. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Like, this is something I didn't add. Now, when you want to see the other people, they don't have your bank records. So whatever you submit, because a lot of y'all been around here trying to lie. Whatever you're submitting to them, understand you gotta back that up. Now, I don't know if some people have submitted and they have to back it up, but they ask for the records to back up what you're saying. So if you ain't got your bank records don't reflect you're making money, you might have a problem. So I'm about to end this live. I hope this information was helpful to you all. If you have not got your taxes done and you need your taxes done in reference to trying to go get the loan, or you just need your taxes done, period, We are still doing taxes at Expert Tax Service. We are taking returns and information via our website, experttaxservices.com. It's spelled with the X and an S is on the end.com. 24/7. I work throughout the day at home. And I try to get back with you within 24, 48 hours with your estimate. And also, we are taking appointments for anybody who wants to come in office. We are taking appointments, so you can reach out to myself, or if you know any of my preparers to work with the company, you can reach out to them. And stay tuned for the video next week, because the video next week, I will be going over what do small business owners need when it comes to their finances and their record keeping to prepare them for another COVID-19. But not really just a COVID-19. It's going to prepare you for success in your business when it comes to being able to get grants, being able to get funding like they're offering now, being able to get the car of your dreams, being able to buy a house. And that's the other thing for me, because I'm also a realtor. So I know with a person who needs to buy a house and you're just self-employed, how do you get in that house? I know twofold how you get in. This is how I got this house. and then I sell a house to people. So I can kind of, I know exactly what you need. And so make sure you tune into this video for next week. If you think somebody can benefit from this particular video, make sure y'all share it out. Make sure you tag people periodically through the weekend. I'll be answering some questions. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm not gonna be answering every question, every inbox. I waited this long to talk about this because with these stimulus payments and all this other stuff that's going on, as tax preparers, we are really a little overwhelmed with information and trying to provide things to people. So I hope that you don't get offended if I don't get back with you, but I'll try my best to get back with as many people as I possibly can. And if you think this information is good, y'all do me a favor. If you have an IG account, I have a talk show that I do the same thing that airs on Fox 54 in Columbus, Georgia, where my hometown is. And we also have Facebook shows as well, where we have other people come on our show and we interview them and try to educate small business owners. So if you are on IG, please go follow Gwen Business Corner. Please. That's all I'm asking. I just got y'all all this good information. Go follow us on IG at Gwen Business Corner. So I'm out, y'all. See y'all next week.